To tell us a little bit more about track cycling in the Western Cape. We've got the head of Western Cape Track Cycling, Nigel Isaacs, on the line with us. Nigel, great to have you on the show. How are things there with you?
Hi, good afternoon, JP. I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Things are going great on this side.
Yeah, and Nigel, of course, it's been locked down, been very difficult for the federations, but slowly, getting back on track.
Yes, it's been very, very hard on everybody. Lockdown was not nice on us, but fortunately, we are back going. We are back on riding our bikes again, back to our doing what we love, and yeah, that's good for tracks and cycling in general.
Nigel, so we've had a couple of conversations with Corné Bentz, the president of Western Cape Cycling. We've had conversations recently about mountain biking, also a different shape of cycling. We've had conversations right in the beginning, in fact, with all the digital sessions with Elrich Coulson, your, of course, high performance coach for cycling as well. But your speciality is track cycling. Tell us a little bit about the difference between regular or traditional cycling, road cycling versus track cycling.
Well, the main difference between the road cycling and track cycling is obviously on track cycling you only have one gear, and there's no brakes on the bike. And compared to road, obviously you're more controlling of your bike where you have brakes and you have different gears. And that's basically the big difference between road and track cycling. Obviously, the training is also different. The training environment is definitely different. It's more track is more technical than road cycling. But my view is just about track cycling is just very more competitive in the sense whereby everything depends on you as the individual, the right kind of training, and also the different kind of events. You get endurance events, you get sprinting events at track cycling. So wherever your favorite is, whether it's sprint or endurance events, the training is obviously different as well. Yeah.
I mean, so you're saying that the bicycles don't have any brakes. How do you stop?
It's sort of well, the track cycling is you sort of backpedaling on the pedal, and you need to be very alert and always be aware of your surroundings when you're on the track, especially when you're in a bunch. You need to be alert at all times because anything can happen at any moment. So if just a few seconds you don't lose concentration, and that can be very disastrous. You can crash and you don't want to crash obviously when you track bike.
Nigel, one of the questions we've got is if from a track cycling, you say it's very, I mean, you can see it's very physical when you look at the photographs of or even videos of the guys doing the track cycling. They look very physical. They've got really big legs, and is there a big difference in terms of the training, like additional training, like you going to the gym and being physical?
Yeah, you always notice that with the sprinters. The sprinters are normally the guys with the bulky legs and the big muscles, and they some of them go to the gym and obviously to get their legs stronger and obviously body stronger. And that's a complete different kind of training and the
Yeah.
amount of time that they go to the track. I mean, for example, somebody can go to the track and be there 3 hours at the track, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they've been training 3 hours for 3 hours. They could, I mean, if you look at the training, the amount of time that they were actually busy training could be just for an hour or an hour and a half in that 3 hours. So it's a case of going onto the track, doing what you need to do, come off the track and recover because it's high intensity training. It's lots of power that they use and they push very big gears. Yes.
And so, how do track cyclists sort of get into track cycling? One would think that you start off doing social cycling, maybe cycling at a club or in the mountains, and you become a cyclist, and maybe you end up doing the sort of more social events, and then getting competitive in normal cycling. And so, how do you end up? I mean, how do athletes end up moving into track cycling?
Well, I mean, I started off many years ago riding on the road, and somebody just invited me to the track one day, and my first event was in Paul. And when I got to the track, I just fell in love with the difference of between the two, between the road and the track.
Yeah.
And it's more case of I mean, some of the guys I know, especially at the velodrome in Belleville, they are scared to ride on the banking. They come there for the first time, and then the eye just pops out of there when they see this steep banking. So it's more a case of choice. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
force somebody to come and ride track if they want to. And I also think some of them is scared for the fact that they don't have brakes on the bike in the sense that they're not really in control of it.
Yeah.
But for those who have been coming to the track and exposed to it for the first time, they just love it, and they just can't get enough of riding on the track.
And the equipment itself, is it just a question of having a bicycle, or do you need a wide variety of equipment?
As I said in the beginning, there's a big difference between the road and the track. You get the road bike, and obviously um, you can select a certain road bike based on your budget and what you want and so forth and so forth, and your components. When it comes to track, it's a more technical side because it all depends on what kind of events that you do with the track. Um, you can get a decent track bike starting from around 5,000 rand in entry level track bike, and you can just build it up from there. And obviously your equipment is also a big factor. The different sets of wheels as well, for example, and that's also a factor when it comes to certain events. So maybe when you ride at suit is an event where you ride against the clock, as we call it.
Right.
And so it depends also what kind of equipment you have on your bike. There's kind of time trial bars set with the wheels. You get disc wheels, you get normal wheels, and that's also factors that contributes to how you perform in that specific event. Yeah.
I believe then that you had Western Cape Champs this past weekend.
Yes, we had it over this past weekend, and I must say it was a very good turnout of riders. It was for me, it was just amazing to see all the youngsters, the young kids. That's what that was on the track. Um, Unfortunately, there weren't a lot of elite riders, especially with the ladies. And I
Yeah.
always say to and I always say to the adults or to the guys that works with me is that you never mess with the youngsters. You don't interfere with their racing. You must make sure that the results is correct. You must make sure that everything is correct when it comes to the racing because they are very serious. You don't mess with them.
Talking about youngsters, Nigel, how does one get involved if people are watching the show right now and they're listening to our interview? How would they get started in track cycling? How do you join?
Well, what we normally do is if anybody wants to come and join us, they need to go through a development training session with our development coach. His name is Glenn Bontes, and they normally train on a Wednesday evening. And what they normally do is they just introduce you to track, what it's all about, what you need to do, what you don't need to do, mustn't do, and so forth. And when they are satisfied with your riding, then it will obviously allow you to come and compete in one of the events.
Nigel, thank you very much. We'll hope to catch up with you soon and get lots of photographs. And we're looking forward to seeing all those Western Cape track cycling champions well, I was going to nearly say on the road, but on the track. And we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
There we go, folks. Nigel Isaacs, head of high performance cycling, track cycling, and well, it's certainly fascinating. And we're looking forward to seeing how our Western Cape track cyclists are doing. They've just had the Western Cape Champs, and hopefully we'll see some track cycling competitions in the near future.